Hello and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. This is episode 238. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is Summer Rain.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest joining us once again on the show. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand. Chris McKeever is back on the program. How you doing, Chris?
I am pretty awful, so let's get into the escapism that is video games.
We love that. We love to hear that.
All right, the Tsum Tsum King joins us to talk about the Game Awards. But before we get into all that, we got some news about new NSO games, Smash getting some new spirits, another closure over in the Embracer collapse. But before we get into all that, how's everyone doing today?
Good. Yeah, doing okay. I think we should address the elephant in the room. Patrick Nicely has passed away. It's no longer on the show. I'm just kidding. He's alive. But Patrick is very sick. Him and his kid got sick, so Patrick is not joining us this week. So everybody say a little prayer for Patrick and anybody who might be delivering Dominoes at this time. Just get one prayer in for all your prayer needs. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm doing okay. I saw some good movies at the cinema this weekend, man. Saw some good movies. I saw The Boy and the Heron, the newest Miyazaki joint, which I loved. And,
How was Arpat as the Heron?
I saw it in Japanese.
Subbed?
I saw it subbed. Yeah, I do want to watch it dubbed though, because I from what I've heard of the dub, it sounds pretty good. And Arpat sounds good from what I've heard.
I've heard he puts Chris Pratt to shame.
Yeah, it's crazy how the Heron is always going, let's go. But then also I saw Poor Things with Emma Stone. Oh, there we go. Oh, I didn't even realize it was based on a book. Look at that. Yeah, that movie was awesome. I loved it so much. Emma Stone could do no wrong in my mind. Big Yorgos fan.
It's a fantastic book. I have not seen the movie yet, but I'm very stoked. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. This week, I'm finally back at work again. But then I also went to Disney World for 5 days because my brother was going with my grandma and he said, well, y'all should come. And so I was like, well, how often am I going to get to go to Disney World with my grandma? So we went, that was exhausting, but fun. So yeah, pretty good. But now back at work, it's like a slap in the face. Like you're back in reality, get back to work.
You're no longer a Disney adult.
You're no longer a Disney adult.
You get on Guardians Rewind? You get on Guardians Rewind?
I did. The Guardians ride? Yeah. I got it on. I did it twice. It was pretty good.
Dang, you were up at 7 a.m. getting, or did you pay for the lightning lane?
No. So I virtual queued.
Hell yeah.
And I lightning laned. God.
Dang.
Since
What songs you get?
Okay, we got.
You get Conga?
No, we got the Blondie song, One Way, and then we got Flock of Seagulls, I Ran.
Man, Disney adults.
I Ran's got to be fun.
I Ran was very sick. That was
this is the risk we run when we bring up Disney parks and Chris is on the show.
Parks only, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Tsum Tsums are a fucking facade. I have parks all day, every day.
I was saying earlier, I was like, man, I didn't get anything Tsum Tsum related while I was at the parks, and I messed up. I regret everything. It just popped in my head today, and well, here we are. What are you gonna do? But anyway. How about y'all? How y'all doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. The thing that I did was a local band or some musicians got together and put together a live music Mario Kart tournament at a local speakeasy.
Oh, yeah, that looks cool.
Oh my God, it was very cool. And I was so glad that the way that they did it is they did 4 specific cups that they knew that they could like learn the music to in time.
Yeah.
And then they still did 32 contestants and then just worked through those 4 cups again. And then they had one other cup for like the finals. And I was glad that I wasn't until like I think I didn't go until like the 7th or 8th round. And I was really glad because I got to see all of the tracks be played first, so that way I wasn't distracted while I was up there playing and geeking out, because I was geeking out the whole time. Every time I got to see each track fresh, they were so slick. It was really, 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 really nice. And now I'm on their mailing list when they decide to do it again.
Was it like a full band? Do they have horns and everything?
They had a one guy on wind instruments, plural.
One
So
flute man.
yeah, he was playing. He had an alto sax, a soprano sax, a clarinet, and a flute.
Awesome.
And then they had the rest of. I guess. The guy on electric guitar though had a lot of different voices for it too. So he was hitting a lot of different voices with the guitar, I guess, and the keyboard. It was really, they really nailed a lot of the instrument sounds too. It was really, really excellent. And that's a highlight for me. Chris, how you doing?
I'm really missing Patrick. Really is.
Wow.
That's where I'm at. I wish Patrick was here.
I always wish Patrick was here, but that doesn't just apply to the podcast. That applies to almost any activity I do in my life.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. Patrick's always there when I need him, except for right now. And so he's dead to me. That's not true. But are you doing okay otherwise, sans Patrick, Chris?
Yeah, I'm making it. It's happening. I'm moving forward in life.
Let's go. It was great. We'll get to this in the main topic more, but it was nice. Three out of the four of us were all in one physical location for the Game Awards, and then Summer, you were on
Discord.
the Discord voice chat. So it was really nice to be able to kind of like have a get together for the Game Awards this year. And so I'm appreciative of that.
My drinking rules were a little too much.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I was just literally about to say, like, I loved your drinking rules. It was a lot, but it was a lot of fun.
Right. I had a lot of fun writing them, but then I wasn't prepared for the moment where I had to take two. And I kind of want to talk more about this in the main topic, but there was a moment. Sure. There was a moment where I ended up having to take 2 shots, and I was too drunk to do that. So
yeah.
Because it was not something I was expecting to happen.
The get together was at my house, so it did not matter how much I drank, other than the general I feel terrible because I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to be kind of somewhat taking the role of Patrick on this episode, so we're going to quickly go through some shout outs. We just got a couple to get to this week. Last week we did an episode on Salmon Run with Ty Typos. What an awesome episode. They are very aware of how to play Salmon Run well, so that was really fascinating to listen to. We got some comments on the YouTube. Scary Fingers 101 said, "What are your Salmon Run tips if you don't like eating seafood?" And if that's the case, I don't know how to help you, bud. Yeah, Kirosetta brought back the It's Super Switch Headz Day. Very happy to see that comment on the YouTube. And also Matt says, Ty confirmed Silk Song at the Game Awards. Not quite, unfortunately, but we'll find out. Maybe next Game Awards we'll finally get a release date for Silk Song. But thanks everybody for shouting us out. We'd like to remind you guys before we get here into the news to leave a review for us on Apple or Spotify. They do reviews now. Post a Reddit comment, share this episode or any of our episodes with a friend. The best way to grow a podcast is through word of mouth, through giving links to your friends. So we'd really appreciate that if you could do that. And also, we've got a video version of this podcast that goes up every single week over there on YouTube. We'd really appreciate any likes or subscribes over there on the YouTube channel. And we put a lot of work into the video portion of this podcast. And so if you'd like to see a lot of that, visit us on YouTube. And we don't get enough views to really monetize with ads. So you're getting an ad-free experience, baby, even if you don't have premium. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the news and rumors of the week.
I wish I brought more physical props for the YouTube portion of this show.
It's okay. You've got Tsum Tsums in your background.
You've got a background.
What more can we ask for?
Here's some heavy-duty scissors.
Oh, excellent.
There we go. Those are almost switch
to cut into the next segment.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, Patrick is the segue king. You will not be getting those with me.
We're doing our best.
But Summer will jump in from time to time. We're going to go ahead and start off with some news that broke kind of soon after we put our episode out last week. 3 N64 games were added to the Nintendo 64 Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack tier, those being 1080 Snowboarding, Harvest Moon, and Jet Force Gemini. So what do we think about that? I mean, we knew Jet Force Gemini was coming, but we did not know that 1080 and Harvest Moon were coming out at the same time. What do you guys think about this?
I think you willed this into existence because weren't you just saying like, well, we're getting Jet Force Gemini, but where's 1080? And they're like, we're listening. Okay, we're gonna put 1080 out on the same day.
Yeah, we're gonna throw in a little Harvest Moon just to be nice.
Yeah, just to be nice.
Yeah. Have any of you guys played any of these since they came out?
Not since it came out, but back in the day, big 1080 boy.
That's nice. I fired up 1080 and I couldn't figure out the controls. I gotta.
Yeah, it's like a fighting game where you have to do combos.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
You have to know how to do a 1080.
Oh, good.
That's cool. What about you, Summer?
I attempted to boot up Harvest Moon. I did make a save spot just in case I decide to go back to it. I don't know that I'm gonna. It's just modern farming sims are just the quality of life improvements are just so much.
I agree. I started up 1080 and Harvest Moon, I was like, ooh, this kind of hurts my eyes more than I was expecting.
And the angle of it, it's just not doing it anymore.
The text moves really slowly. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can play this for more than 15 minutes. But
I'm just gonna go back to Stardew.
Yeah. Anybody try Jet Force Gemini before we move on? Yeah. I haven't tried it out either, and I maybe by next week we could talk about a little bit about that game because I've never played it and I'm looking forward to it. But we'll go ahead and move on. Smash Ultimate is getting some new spirits in January. Apparently, Smash is getting an update. A little odd. This kind of kickstarted a lot of speculation around the internet on like what the fuck is happening here with Smash. Is this that Bandai Namco team? Are they working on something new Smash related, or are these truly just random spirits? Any of you all see the news on this?
What is a spirit in terms of Smash Brothers?
They're more useful in like solo play and like the campaign side of Smash. There are like additional bonus characters with abilities that you can tack on to your fighter. And that's mostly how I play Smash anymore is when I log in, I immediately go to the spirit board and I just like go through collecting spirits and just going after ones that I don't have. That's really mostly how I play Smash. So I'm really curious to see what spirits they're going to be adding.
They didn't.
Their little campaign helper fellas.
Yeah, they're basically Ultimate's version of trophies. Like there are like over 1,000 spirits in this game, and so they didn't want to model out 1,000 trophies. So basically, they're just kind of like pings, that you can fight against in the single player as kind of like versions of them or whatever. So it's cool that we're getting new ones. I mean, I guess, I'm reading the statement from Nintendo. They were talking about how this is to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the release of Smash Ultimate. So it might just be that. I mean, there's been some speculation online that maybe Bandai Namco and, Sora Limited are remastering the game for the Super Switch, and maybe that's why they're in it, and that's why they feel like they can update it. I think that's maybe reaching a little bit, but we'll see. There was no like big Smash announcement at the Game Awards, so I think this is probably a face value, like it's just a 5-year anniversary thing, which is kind of nice.
Right.
It would be a good way to celebrate the 5-year anniversary. Waluigi.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
That really would be nice. I would love a new character. I admittedly have stopped playing Smash in recent years, to be honest. But
it's 5 years old. I stopped playing like 4 years and 8 months ago or so.
Moving on, we've got some very unsettling news. Turns out the Nintendo Live 2024 event in Tokyo, you'll remember there was just a Nintendo Live event here in the States in Seattle, has been canceled due to death threats, apparently, from some members of, I believe, the Splatoon community. Something like that. But basically, the Splatoon National Finals has been called off, and I think the entire event has been called off. Chris, do you know anything about this? This is kind of new news to me.
I just read the same article that you just read. But my opinion is that if you're the type of person who threatens civilians at an event, you're a real dweeb.
Yeah.
Maybe you should stop that type of behavior.
I agree. Could you say that again in Japanese so we could have the person who made the threats?
Let me make a quick Google of it.
No. But yeah, I mean, this is a big event, and they're straight up canceling it. That's a little shocking.
It was 2 events, right? It's Nintendo Live and the championships?
The Splatoon championships were part of the Nintendo Live event, right? That they were supposed to be hosted at this event. What I'm kind of getting a vibe for right now is adding this to the like pile of weird Splatoon weirdness happening, and it almost makes me feel nervous about future like Nintendo financial meetings, because we know that Splatoon fans are now paying for like becoming shareholders so they can go to these meetings to complain about the game.
Like F-Zero and stuff. Yeah.
So that makes me even I don't like it.
Yeah, I certainly don't like it either. Don't make threats. And I guess, I don't know, maybe we'll have this in Seattle again in 2024 instead of Tokyo.
The Tokyo meetup is just going to, or event is just going to happen in Seattle.
Yeah, man, Tokyo not doing well with events. 2020 Olympics canceled. 2024 Nintendo Live canceled.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next bit of news here. Epic has been in the news quite a lot recently, given that the Game Awards were essentially Fortnite presents Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards. But Epic, I think one of the financial, the head of Fortnite's ecosystem, Sax Person is the guy's name, funny name, has admitted that Epic has tried incredibly hard to woo the legendary video game company Nintendo into lending their characters into Fortnite, and that Nintendo has been very, very staunch in their disapproval of lending characters over to Fortnite.
What's wrong with the idea of Yoshi with an assault rifle?
Yeah, I think you just put it there yourself better than I ever could. I think these beloved family-friendly characters with guns shooting Goku, I guess, would be a little off-brand
right
for
now.
Nintendo. Yeah, that's true.
He's in there. I realized this weekend, so Solid Snake is part of the current Game Pass, and my immediate reaction was, oh, it's the first character that's been in Super Smash Brothers that is in Fortnite. So therefore, it is all now canon, and because Solid Snake is in there and Smash,
Right.
so now Fortnite and Super Smash Brothers canons are
Right.
like now it's just any day for the rest
And
of
it's all-
Nintendo.
All of that is in the Snow Globe.
Snow Globe from St. Elsewhere, yeah. We're both just waiting to jump on the St. Elsewhere joke.
That's why we have you on the show, Chris. It's because we say the same thing at the same time. Mind melt.
So it's very funny to me that, because I'm like, it's a matter of time with the current leadership at Nintendo, I think, almost.
You think so? Do you think that this is kind of old Iwata stuff? I mean, Furukawa's been head of Nintendo for a while now. You think that this is probably, a lot of these requests are probably coming in the past like 3 or 4 years, right?
I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, I remember hearing about they wanted to include Samus, which I think is the most likely candidate, because Samus literally has a gun infused in her suit. So why not just put an assault rifle in her hand? But if they won't even let Samus in, I don't see it happening ever.
You don't think Kirby will suck up some flash grenades?
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I mean, this Splatoon crossover would be sick, Fortnite X Splatoon, but it's never gonna happen.
They do a Splatoon mode, just like the Lego mode that they just did.
You're just talking foam stars at that point, man.
Yeah.
Just get foam stars, but
Yeah, because it's
anyway.
popular enough to want in Fortnite.
maybe one day. I think you're right, Jordan. I think that Samus, if any of them are going to happen, Samus is most likely. I don't know, maybe Mach Rider.
If they're gonna put Mario in there, it should be the Chris Pratt version of Mario.
Yeah, maybe that's how they get around it.
The movie version would be who they get the rights for, though. Yeah, like it would.
They should get the Bob Hoskins
It'd be that
version.
modeling.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Just give them the rights to F-Zero and make a bounty hunting game in Fortnite.
Oh,
All right, we have to move on.
Yo, you're on to something. All right.
We'll see if that ever happens. I think you're right. I think it's unlikely, but
It's unlikely.
for now, we'll move on. Here's another news item I'm not super familiar with, but is good nonetheless. ZeniMax, who is now obviously a wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft Corporation, has allowed contracted workers that are working for their studios to the right to unionize. I assume that this is voluntary recognition. And they have also, it turns out, offered some of these contractors full-time roles as well. This is a really good step forward in the gaming sphere. I know, personally, having been in an organizing committee for a union myself, I get a lot of the news on the ground in the entertainment industry with a lot of unionization. I know that this has been being pushed for a really long time. So I'm glad to see that, this is coming together without a ton of pushback from these big companies. But yeah, this is pretty exciting. Anybody have anything to say about this?
Solidarity forever.
Yeah, you love to see it.
Yeah, I agree. Looking at the article here, it looks like ZeniMax Workers United, CWA union, will represent over 300 QA employees within the Microsoft subsidiary and will now include some contract staff as well. Looks like they're getting 22% pay increases. The contractors that are being converted to full-time employees, 15% pay increases for other contractors. So it looks like right off the bat, they're getting a lot of their demands, which is really, really exciting. Hopefully other big studios can take note. I know there's been a lot of horrible news recently. We'll get to some of it here in a second, but I know like Bungie, obviously recently had to lay off a whole bunch of employees. And now there's lots of talk about Sony coming in and totally taking over the board, right? And I think if that's the case, that's going to be a lot harder for unions and stuff like this to actually get past, right? So hopefully we see more of this and not less. But yeah, moving on to, I guess, some worse news, kind of transitioning there. I guess that's a segue. It's a shitty segue, but we're doing it. Embracer Group, our favorite fucking games publisher, Saudi-backed games publisher, has, in their culling of just tons of studios recently, has unfortunately shut down Free Radical Design. That's the latest casualty from Embracer Group here. Just, at a year where we've lost about 10,000 almost video game industry employees throughout the industry. This is the latest casualty. Time Splitters is the game that Free Radicals is most known for. They were working on a comeback of the Time Splitters franchise when they got the axe, which is really, really unfortunate. I know I personally was looking forward to this game. Yeah, I don't know that there's too much to talk about here, but I mean, did anybody here play the Time Splitters games? Or what do you guys think about this news?
Yeah, I definitely played Time Splitters 2 on the GameCube, and we loved it because it was kind of the natural successor to GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So we were looking for that one next up, and that was it, man. So we had a lot of fun playing that. And then it's almost not surprising that they would be one of the ones to get the axe, just because I don't think they've actually really, when's the last time they actually put out a full game?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
This was kind of like the rebirth. There was like a big to-do about Free Radical, like kind of, this is their big comeback tour, right? And then it's just kind of,
fizzled out, man. And it's just like, that's a real bummer because, I love a good comeback story. And also, that they still got some life in them. So I'm kind of curious to see if anything will come of this, like what they will do after this, where these devs go.
Yeah. A lot of these devs are longtime game industry veterans, and so you really hate to see that. And it's been happening so much, and we'll talk about it in the main topic, obviously. But I mean, the silence at the Game Awards on this topic in particular was pretty fucking deafening, And I think it was particularly tactless this year to not say anything about it at an event like that. And it's weird too that it's like kind of like that conversation is happening outside of the gaming circles. I think that I've been seeing a lot of people talking just like randos being like, man, I've been hearing about like tons of layoffs and that watch the Game Awards. And it's like, wow, you know about that? It's kind of surprising. And that just kind of shows how widespread it's been this year. Right.
I don't really like money or the things that it does.
Yeah. All my homies hate capitalism. Anyway, let's move on. We'll go into our last little bit of news. That'll kind of lead us into our main topic, I guess. There was an interview recently in Game Informer. Remember that old rag? That they're still around, still kicking. They did an interview with Eiji Aonuma, executive producer, about the future of the Zelda franchise and kind of just like a look back at Tears of the Kingdom, how it did, how he felt the reception to it was, and all that kind of stuff. I think this is a really interesting article. I think it's definitely worth reading for a lot of different reasons. I think the main bit of news that's coming out of this article that's kind of making the rounds right now is in reference to what he sees as the future of this franchise. I'm definitely paraphrasing here because I didn't read this right before we started, but he talked a lot about how he does not anticipate the next Zelda game being a direct sequel to Tears of the Kingdom in the same way that Tears of the Kingdom was a sequel to Breath of the Wild, right? And he also said, I think he said that the building mechanic, the Ultra Hand mechanic, will not be returning.
Yeah, no more Ultra Hand.
Right. And also that players have been missing a return to the more traditional linear Zelda games. Which I think this could spark a little bit of conversation here because I could see pros and cons to this approach. But what do you guys think about this before we get too deep into any of
that? As the standard antagonist of this podcast, I cannot cook in a game anymore. This is just too much game for me. I never got off the tutorial island.
Oh, is that true? You did not really fuck with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, no. I have to make enough meals in my real life, right? to do them in a video.
You really don't have to. I didn't cook at all in this game. I mean, I cooked, but in a different way.
But also,
half
the cooking is just browning some meat.
Yeah, who's got time? That's true. That's true in real life too.
Yeah,
right. You don't really have to flavor it, but you got to do it every day. I love like a level to beat that like led into another level. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So you're definitely one of these that's kind of craving a more linear experience.
Yes, I am.
And I think it's good for them to go back and do that. Like they did put out 2 great games, but that are also, like Chris is saying, not for everyone. And I know other people that have very similar feelings to that. So let Zelda be whatever the heck it's going to be.
Mario at this point has branched off where we have the 2D Mario, we have the 3D Mario, and the fact that like Zelda hasn't really done that by this point to have a more linear dungeon-based experience be the 2D ones and then the 3D ones be the open world. The fact that we just like don't have that separation yet is just like wild to me. And the fact that he's kind of talking about going forward with the franchise, maybe in a dungeon aesthetic like before, but only in 3D. It's like, dude, dog, you can have both. Like we can have our cake and eat it too. People will show up for Zelda, and I feel it's like shown time and time again. So I'm more just surprised that they don't just have like 2 separate spheres of this franchise yet.
I've got some thoughts on this myself. I think that first of all, I think it shows a lot of restraint, and it's commendable to not just milk a fucking thing that is popular forever like every other game company does. I feel like it takes a lot of maturity and willingness to experiment at the cost of potentially like guaranteed sales to be like, oh, this formula that has like made us like billions of dollars or whatever, like we're not going to do that again. So that's cool. I dig that. That said, I do think that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are the best Zelda games that I've played. I love those games so much, so I think I am a little sad to maybe they'll come back to that kind of formula or they'll go back to open world Zelda again. Because I really think that worked really well. But either way, I think that with next Zelda game, whatever they do is going to be great. And I have been craving some of that, at least like a progression. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like the last few Zelda games, in the ability to go to any dungeon in any order, I felt like kind of a progression and me feeling like I'm getting stronger throughout it. Like, or that I'm really like leveling up throughout it is kind of not a thing, when it's like, or it's like, it's almost like both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have had this like inverse difficulty spike where it's like, it's really hard at the beginning because you can't do anything. And then all of a sudden you go and do the last dungeon and you breeze fucking past it because you're super powered at this point, because they're not built to get harder as they go. Right. So I'm excited for that to come back. I'm excited for the story. I think also took a little bit of a hit being open world, do anything you want in any order. So I think a really good narrative I'm excited for. I guess this will be the return of Green Tunic Link, right?
Or it's a universe for Purple Tunic.
I do think Link is hotter in these games than he has been in other games.
Yes. Twink.
Yeah.
Link.
You're giving us what we want.
Definitely by far the most fuckable Link
Without a doubt.
has been in the most recent 2 Zelda games.
Way more fuckable than Toon Link.
Let's not even say that.
I think we all, yeah. I agree that we should move on from that. Is
Toon Link a child?
Yes.
He's gotta be.
Does he?
He could be a
child.
He could just be a chibi adult and he lives with his grandma on an island. But anyway.
I assumed he was just a different version of Link.
And Link is often a child in many.
But yeah, so speaking of Aonuma, he won an award tonight. That is going to segue us into our main topic. Look at that, Patrick. I'm doing the segues too. But that's going to do it, I think, for the news and rumors section of the podcast here. We're going to take a small break, I think, and we're going to talk all about the Game Awards 2023, our takeaways, some of our favorite presentations, and some of our favorite winners and losers right after this break. And we are back from the break. Thank you for sticking around through that break. We're back to talk about all of the Game Awards stuff this year, baby. Game Awards 2023, presented by Fortnite, starring Jeff Keighley, happened this past Thursday. We all were able to watch it together. I feel like there has been a lot more pushback this year, which was kind of surprising to me, from the gaming world at large, especially gaming Twitter. Everybody was really complaining about this Game Awards, but I actually found this Game Awards to be quite a pleasant experience. I thought it was well paced, and maybe because my expectations were down on the ground, I ended up having a really good time at this Game Awards. That said, there were issues. What do you guys think? What were your general takeaways of this year's Game Awards?
I think I've only watched, this is probably maybe my second or third Game Award I've watched in full. And correct me if I'm wrong, is this the 10th Game Awards?
Yes.
I think next year is the 10-year anniversary. He said that at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I kind of just tuned out Jeff Keighley's voice by the end. So, I just really glazed over.
Valid.
No, I mean, I had a good time, but I don't think I would have had as good of a time if I wasn't watching it in like a group setting. Sitting alone watching it, that's not the vibe. So having Summer's drinking rules and sitting in a group of people having a couple beers, that was a lot of fun and I had a good time.
It's the way to do it. Otherwise, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's no way I would have watched this if I wasn't in your apartment.
That's why I occasionally go over to your house, put a black duffel bag over your head, and take you over to my apartment to watch video game stuff with me on the internet.
I give full consent.
Ongoing and enthusiastic consent. I watch the Game Awards every year. I am that person. And I acknowledge a lot of the complaints and I don't always disagree with a lot of them. For me, and I'm not an awards show person because I'm also not like a movie person and I'm not like a big like music industry person, but I am a video game person. And at the end of the day, it is like a celebration of video games, regardless of how much there are awards versus announcements. I think my personal I had a really good time. Like obviously there was assistance in that, but I did overall enjoy the show. I do think my biggest complaints were, I really do wish they gave the awards a little more of the focus. I don't love that there are so many awards that I care about that do get the like glossed over treatment where, oh, wait, they're giving away this award and they just gave this award away and now we're moving on to the next trailer. And then it came out, I found out the next day I saw all over the internet that they did have a big screen that the presenters on stage saw that gave them a countdown when they were supposed to be wrapping up. And then it would say, please wrap it up. And when you have developers up there that speak a different language and have somebody up there who is translating for them, at the very least, they should get extra time, but they didn't. I'm talking about The Legend of Zelda. I was almost offended on behalf because of that. But there were other really high moments for me. Like I couldn't stop crying during the new Aerith theme song reveal for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I tried to watch it again sober and I still cried. So I knew it wasn't just because I was drinking.
Yeah. Drinking makes me cry every time, regardless of the situation.
Right.
Yeah. The please wrap it up sign was definitely trending
Right.
after the Game Awards. Yeah.
Yo, they would say thank, and before they said you, that music was start.
Yeah. I mean, to their credit, I think every award show has a little countdown timer and a thing telling people to wrap it up. I mean, there's teleprompters for every award show. I'm sure that is a thing for the Oscars and the Grammys and whatever as well, right? To your credit, though, I think you're right. It was too fast. I think they started the music after 30 seconds. And I think Jeff Keighley did agree that the music was played too fast. And I think he even said in a tweet later that he told the people who were manually starting the music, because it was a manual start, to slow it down and cut back on it a little bit. This is the big debate every year with the Game Awards, right? Because really, if you break it down, it was probably about 5 to 10% awards and like 90%.
Yeah. If you don't cut them off, how are you going to have time for the commercials?
Right. Well, I mean, it's not like you can't cut them off. Like, I mean, I think that it was like, and it wasn't like nobody was ever drowned out. That happens at the fucking Oscars, where they just literally cut people's mics and drown them out. They did let people talk. It's a little weird to talk like over music, but people were able to say their piece. And I think that, you do have to keep the show snappy. And to the show's credit, I thought it was actually paced really, really well. I think it didn't feel like it was about 4 hours to me, which it was, including the pre-show, right? I get the complaints. I think the bigger problem, like you were saying, is Best RPG not even getting a chance to have an acceptance speech at all, I think is not good. But we've had this complaint about the Game Awards forever,
Yeah. It almost feels the thing that like I keep thinking about too is like they got acceptance speeches during the there were 2 specific categories that they made sure got acceptance speeches during what they're calling the pre-show, aka we're going to let a woman host for a while instead of Jeff Keighley, which is how it feels, right? And the 2 acceptance speeches that I remembered happening, and I didn't have our drinks ready yet, and they required drinking, were it was the Best Family Award, which went to Nintendo, and Doug Bowser was already right there. So like, we knew it wasn't going to be Party Animals or whatever that Disney game that came out was. Like he was like literally came on immediately, and was able to give a speech that I think was longer than 30 seconds. So he didn't have to get to wrap it up. And then I got like mixed feelings about this too. And then like the Accessibility in Gaming Award happened during the pre-show. Right? Because that's like, oh, well, the hardcore gamers aren't watching yet. So like, this is when we can give this so we don't get a bunch of like woke spam in the live chat. And they did get to do a speech, which like it's like both sides of that coin. I was like, I'm glad that they let those devs give a speech, but like also this was during the pre-show category like this.
Yeah, it's definitely such a misnomer, the pre-show, because not only do they show trailers that are just as hype during the pre-show, they give away awards.
Exactly. It's like, literally just a woman is presenting for 30 minutes to warm up the stage, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it. Because, it's literally the exact same thing that's happening later on, just from a platform off to the side.
I showed up late and I missed the pre-show and I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything at the Oscars. It's just like, what are you wearing?
You literally miss.
What's your fashion like? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, no. And then I looked at it later and I was like, shit, I missed like some announcements that I actually cared about.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
And so it's like definitely not pre-show. Just say the hours.
Just
say
call
the show is 4.5 hours long.
Just say it's at 6:30.
Well, add the 30 minutes on.
Something I've been seeing people talk about online is Sydney Goodman, who was the host of the pre-show, should just split hosting duties with Jeff.
I agree.
Because I don't hate Jeff Keighley as a host. I think he's a fine host, but I think it's like I get a little tired of him being the only guy for the whole fucking thing. And Sydney Goodman is great. She used to be the kind of daily upload news video person for IGN for a while, the Daily Fix or whatever their video series was called. But it's like, she's great at this and has been doing this forever, and she's got a lot of charisma and does a really good job with it. So I think like she's earned at this point, co-hosting duties rather than just being relegated to the part of the show that everybody seems to forget is a part of the show every year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Although
so I think that's a good idea.
I was thinking about it too, that I wouldn't mind if they did what other award shows did as well and maybe found a totally separate entity host. I think there's lots of relevant people that enough people know that, fit into those categories. I mean, gosh, how many of the celebs that they had, any of them would have been.
Like a Billy Crystal type. Yeah.
Right. Sure. We've got enough of those that would be appropriate, I think, to have.
How do we not let Gonzo host? How do we not let that happen?
I agree.
He's too horned up for chickens.
Oh, man. That was...
No, but I think what's his name? The improv guy who plays Sonic, Ben.
Schwartz?
Yeah.
Ben Schwartz, I think would love to do it. He's
right.
he's a gamer. He would be, it's a great point.
He's an improv guy.
Hiring a comedian for a host is a really good idea. I mean, that's what they do for the Oscars. That's what they do for all these other award shows.
Right. And I'm saying,
Jeff Keighley just loves himself so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't help but like put himself in there. I was like watching the Haunted Mansion Muppets, and he's in that for why? Why is he in the Haunted Mansion Muppets? He's just gotta weasel his way in.
Wait, what is the Haunted Mansion Muppets?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it a game? Is it a movie?
it's a
No,
movie.
it's like a special. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a special on Disney Plus.
Jeff Keighley's in it?
Yeah.
Yes. I was watching the
love
credits
this
and I was
film.
like, what the fuck?
Is he an actor? Why is
I was
he in
like,
that?
It's a bit role.
Valerie, why
It's
is
not.
Jeff Keighley in this?
It's not like he
this
has
makes
a big
no
speaking
sense.
role. He's literally just like a cameo. Like, because
Well,
that's what they do with the
Muppets do
Muppets.
cameos.
He's
That's
in
their
the
thing,
opening
yeah.
credits. He's in
Okay.
the opening credits.
All right.
Best part of Haunted Mansion Muppets is the old man Gonzo puppet.
Yeah.
What a horrific sight
I would.
old Gonzo is. I love it.
I'd say it was the cover of Dancing in the Moonlight that we got from Electric Mayhem. I think
That's
that was
Dancing in the
also.
moonlight.
I listened to that version over the original thanks to that movie.
This is
It's
a
really
Haunted
good.
Mansion Muppets podcast now.
Well, we'll save some of our more overall thoughts then for the end. Let's move on to some of the awards. I mean, this was an award show after all, right? I mean, obviously, I think the big winner, I think, as everybody anticipated this year, was Baldur's Gate 3. Walked home with 6 awards throughout the evening. Not quite a sweep. I think they were nominated for about 9 or 10, and they won 6, which is very admirable. I think, as far as I understand from everybody who's played it, very deserved.
Oh, yeah.
All the awards that they won. That includes Game of the Year. I think the gentleman who plays
Neil
Astarion
Newborn got Astarion.
Astarion?
As Astarion, yes, got best performance.
Best performance, right? I'm looking through some of these other ones. Also won
Best multiplayer game.
Best multiplayer. That's right. Best community support. And several others. Best RPG. Yeah.
And then the
And so,
player's choice, which
And the player's choice. That's correct.
Not-
which is the 100% player voted award.
correct.
I thought it was interesting too that like though it won Game of the Year, it didn't win Best Narrative, it didn't win Best Game Direction or Best Art Direction, which all went to Alan Wake too. Totally, because I'm like, dude, I was totally expecting just Baldur's Gate 3 to just continuously sweep down the line, which I think is interesting. Like they kind of like were able to separate those things out, but still recognize that Baldur's Gate 3 was ultimately altogether the best game of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the very notable exception of Spider-Man 2.
Oh man.
I think every game that deserved an award this year got an award.
What award do you think Spider-Man 2 should have gotten?
More like
know.
Snubberman, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Snubberman 2.
I think this is an instance where we say it is an honor to be nominated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But having loved and been nominated and lost. But I think Alan Wake winning 3 awards, that was the second place most awards won of the evening, bad sentence, was Alan Wake 2, right? And they were big ones. Like you said, it was like direction and narrative and art direction. Like those are big ones. And I think it, for everything I understand, it's very well deserved. I'm a big fan of Remedy. From what I know about the kind of meta narrative of this game and the way that they approach it, this is a very, very unique game, and a story like this has never quite been told in a game before. So I think it's cool to give that awards, or those kinds of awards, to games like that. I think Death Stranding also won similar awards, and I'll get to Death Stranding later in the show. But that's another thing where it's like, this isn't really like a typical game, but that should be celebrated, right? So I think that was cool to see. We can talk about real quickly just the Nintendo games that won. We brought it up earlier. Best family game went to Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was an obvious one, right? I'm thinking
Totally.
it's hard to argue with that. Definitely one of the best games of the year. It was in the game of the year discussion, and it was a nominee, right? So I was glad to see that happen. Best sim strategy game went to Pikmin 4.
Yes.
Very happy that Pikmin got an award.
I was not expecting it to win.
Really?
This is also, I didn't know. I don't know. Dude, strategy nerds are another breed. So to them, I think Pikmin 4 is almost like looked down upon. But the reason I loved Pikmin 4 so much, it was like so simply complex. I don't know how else to say that, because that was one of my unexpected favorite games of this year, which we'll get to in a later episode, because I just like really was blown away by the depth and the amount of fun I had, and the gameplay loop just like had me coming back for more. So I'm very happy. I guess I also just am not up on strategy games, but it's just when I think strategy, I'm not thinking in Pikmin in those terms. I'm thinking more like
your grid
RTS or something, or grid based. Yeah, exactly. Like Fire Emblem or something like that, you know?
Yeah. It was, most of the other games in the category were turn-based strategy games as well. Pikmin is notably an RTS, right? It's kind of a much more active experience. So it was cool to see it win in that way. And then lastly, obviously we need to bring up best action adventure game went to Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
Tears of the Kingdom. Which I think for a lot of people was their pick for game of the year.
Maybe if somebody cooked your food for you in that game, it could have won.
Yeah, maybe if there was an Uber Eats in Hyrule, Chris would have absolutely loved this game. But no, I mean, that was obviously, I'm glad that it won at least that. I think there were a couple other ones, and I think it kind of got snubbed for, like, best music in general. I think that was kind of a wash, that entire category. I didn't agree with most of the nominations.
Yes.
Octopath definitely should have gotten a nomination for that, and RPG. But I was going to say for music, I actually think that, and we can get to more of this in a second, but I think Starfield really should have been in there for best music. I thought Starfield had an incredible soundtrack. I thought the score was amazing in that game. In fact, so often I would just play that game and then pause it and then just like let the music play for a while. I was just like really, really enjoying that. And there was another one that I'm kind of forgetting too, but soundtrack was a bit of a wash this year, I think.
I think it's where we start to really struggle, and where I, as a musician, really struggle, is how much of it, I don't know how much of a critical lens they're using about like the soundtrack as how it is being used in, and maybe maybe that starts to get conflated with audio design a little bit. I understand the arguments on both sides there.
Right. And we should say with soundtrack, obviously Final Fantasy 16 won that one. So it was nice to see Final Fantasy 16 win an award.
So that was the category. So I'll just go ahead and say it. We had a drinking rule that was any category that Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom was nominated for and neither wins, take a shot. I also had a rule that was if Final Fantasy 16 wins any awards, take a shot. That was the category where then he would result in taking 2 shots, of which I didn't do.
You don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to. You can drink water. That's totally okay.
Yeah. I think that best audio design went to Hi-Fi Rush. It was nice to see Hi-Fi Rush win an award
it was nice
as well.
to see them win an award.
Microsoft didn't go home totally empty-handed. But I mean,
thank God.
I mean, I did think it was weird. I guess I'll just bring this up now.
Sure.
It did feel weird to me that Starfield didn't get nominated for almost anything. It was nominated for best RPG, and that was it. And that, for some reason, to me, felt kind of petty and like a little bit like it was kowtowing to social pressure. And maybe it just really wasn't. Maybe I just liked it more than most people, but I thought that game was actually quite a fucking achievement. And sure, it not being in Game of the Year is fine, even though I think it probably should have taken the place of Resident Evil 4 remake. But it kind of seemed like it just became kind of in vogue to shit on that game, and that a lot of the kind of selection committee or the critics or whoever are deciding the nominees kind of let that play too much into their decisions.
So I don't disagree with
nominations.
you. I do wonder about how much the committee lets critical reception get in the way of their judgment.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a quick tangent here. The reason we have the strategy sim category is because in 2019, when we were doing the Player's Choice Award, Fire Emblem Three Houses was sweeping it. And guess what game was not nominated for anything else because it was a historically shat upon franchise by like most mainstream gamers. Fire Emblem.
Spyro.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so like I'll just go ahead and say like, so I know like if I was almost shocked that Fire Emblem was nominated this year just because the critical reception on it wasn't great. But it,
well, they had a category they made for it.
A category they made for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I've noticed that kind of trend previously, though, with other things like that, I think you're onto something, David.
Yeah. A couple other notables. Best action game went to Armored Core 6. Best ongoing game went to Cyberpunk 2077, which sets a weird precedent.
About DLC.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Or I don't even think it's DLC. I think it's them just fixing the game over
yeah.
time. It's like more what that is showing.
I definitely think it's like definitely a weird precedent to set because you can release a broken game and fix it and then get an award for fixing the game that should have been the way it was when it got released. And not to say I played pre this Cyberpunk and I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a fantastic game from the get-go, and everyone complaining bunch of whiners. I don't know.
It felt like Starfield to me.
It does feel similar to that kind of response, but the fact that like then they made the game better and then they gave them an award for making the game better that was already like an 8 out of 10 to making it like a 9 to 10 out of 10. It just feels weird. Like, oh, that's not an ongoing game. Like I thought like Apex Legends or Final Fantasy 14 are like more ongoing games. I'm thinking more like MMOs, but then I'm conflicted because I'm like, don't give this fucking award to Fortnite or Roblox or some shit. Like,
it would have gone
don't
to
give it
14
to that
for the 5th year in a row. But yeah, So the way that I think what's going on here is that it's in a category with a bunch of other games that are just going to be nominated again next year. And one of them is just going to win next year because it was all the same games last year, right? So I think this was their way of getting an award to Cyberpunk 2077, getting its like spot in the light. I'm also kind of like, do we just go ahead and allow this to change the definition of what an ongoing game means? Because like when I saw that it was nominated, I was like, okay, so like Mario Kart could have,
Mario Kart I think maybe should have been nominated.
Could have been a nomination. That's what it had me feeling like.
If only Smash Brothers had come out with those 5 spirits earlier, they could have won this award.
Yeah, right. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this is as big of a shakeup as a lot of people do. I mean, No Man's Sky won Best Ongoing Game. I mean, that is a game that has been continually updated, but it's also a game that was not what they promised at the beginning and then eventually became what they promised, So I think that it is like the work that CD Projekt Red has put into Cyberpunk has been monumental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the game is, and I agree with you, Jordan. I thought that I loved Cyberpunk when it came out, but the game is so much better now, and is like what they promised, and so I think that I think it's deserving of the award, but I get why people are weird about it.
I think it also speaks more to like the state of the industry where like, and I think this is something that maybe happened with No Man's Sky and also definitely happened with Cyberpunk is they're forced to push out a game that is not necessarily ready and needs a little bit more time to cook. And they spend a couple years fixing the game. And that's more of an indictment on the state of how the industry runs and less of a statement on how the games are, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that people took the right lesson from the blowback to Cyberpunk, which was a lot of games started being like, we're just going to miss our release dates. We don't care. We're going to not rush it. We're not going to crunch. Right. But I do worry that now rewarding that is going to undo a lot of that growth that the industry as a whole has kind of
Totally.
led with. But then also at the same time, we're seeing a bunch of people lose their jobs. So maybe we should stick to release dates. Anyway, let's move on to the last couple I want to talk about here before we move on. The Indie Game Awards, Sea of Stars won Best Indie Game. Pretty deserved. Yeah, I think we can all agree that that's a good win.
Yeah.
Fucking
correct.
love that game, man. So good.
Great stuff. And then Best Debut Indie Game. This was a little bit of an upset. I think a lot of people were hoping and pulling for Pizza Tower.
Yeah.
Cocoon ended up taking it. Not that I don't think Cocoon is an excellent game.
I think it's a close call. Yeah.
I think I loved Cocoon so much. That said, Jeppe Carlsen, who was kind of the lead developer of this game, was one half of, I think, Playdead. Is that what they were called? Who did Limbo and
Correct,
Inside.
Limbo.
And so it's a little weird to call that debut indie, but I'm not going to fight it too much because I love Cocoon so much. And Pizza Tower is still there. And it was nice just seeing those
got
weird boys on
nominated.
screen
Yeah.
briefly. Yeah. Before we move on to game announcements and some of the interesting things we liked about that aspect of the show, Chris, I wanted to give you a chance. I know you're a big Baldur's Gate 3 guy. Were you happy to see Baldur's Gate win all these awards? And what's kind of your takeaway from this year in general with Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is really fun. I'm not really sure what to say about it other than like I'm a multiplayer only kind of video game player. I do not play video games by myself. I use it specifically as like a social interaction, and I love just getting into hijinks with my buds. I love playing like a useless bard who just like plays a drum in the middle of fights.
Me too, man.
Oh yeah. Did you make your way through the game multiplayer?
Not all the way. We've started several campaigns over and over again, depending upon how many people. So I've been on that ship like 30 times.
The literal ship, David, in case you.
I followed. Yeah.
And also shout out to any video game that has a genital selection, right?
Patch 5, you can see the jiggle physics. Those balls
I thought you were
in the
talking about
gate.
Cyberpunk there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, what's fun for me is if my character is wearing clothes, you never know what genitals I've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about it because my character is never wearing clothes.
Awesome. We love some low swingers.
So that's even
All right.
more relevant with the addition of jiggle physics. Okay, I'll stop. I think it's
all right.
great.
Well, let's go ahead and move on because who really cares about awards at the Game Awards? Everybody tunes in because it is E3 too, and there were a lot of pretty hype announcements here. A lot of them went on for way fucking too long. A lot of the presentations at the beginning, before awards and before announcements, were really long. I'm looking at you, Anthony Mackie, you drunk buffoon. That dude was just rambling forever. My God, but we'll get into that later. We could maybe talk about some of the games we're excited about and some of the trailers that looked pretty cool. Does anybody want to start here on some of the games that looked interesting to them?
Two of the games that I thought looked pretty cool, mostly because of the people who made previous games. Big Walk from the guys who made Untitled Goose Game. Untitled Goose Game was like my favorite piece of art in 2019. So I trust them to make Big Walk look cool. Most of these trailers, you're going off of vibes only, right?
Sure.
We talked about this a little bit. So I don't know.
A lot of
happens.
CG trailers, a lot of no gameplay.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I'm
that was
with
a
you on
theme
this
for sure.
one. Like a multiplayer game by the Untitled Goose Game people, right? Like that sounds like you. What you just said about
absolutely.
multiplayer games.
Hell yeah. I'm in for Big Walk. I'm gonna try and get my buds to get into Big Walk. And then I did say I only play multiplayer games, but I did play Inscription. And I thought that was pretty rad. I play CCG type games too. So that kind of landed in that space for me. So Pony Island Panda Circus seems like it would be fun.
Did you play Pony Island 1? I don't know.
No, I didn't. Maybe I should give that a whirl.
You should. It's free, right?
I have no idea. I've never played it. That's why I was curious.
I have played it. It is an insane, disorienting, fucked experience that is absolutely worth trying out. It's on Steam. Okay, it's not free, but it's $5.
So was Inscription, right?
Right. But Inscription at least felt a little bit more like. I mean, Inscription was like the game within the game, but the game within the game was like a fully fleshed out full ass game. Pony Island is very much like a game within a game, or like an OS within a game, I guess you could call it.
Ooh.
But it's like they call it a suspense puzzle game in disguise. And it gives me a lot of vibes of like, every time I think of Doki Doki Literature Club, I think of Pony Island as games that kind of usurp expectations and turn into horror games.
That.
Yeah, but yeah, Pony Island 2 looks so much more fully fleshed out, like with whole 3D environments. It looks like an actual full ass game. So much more even than Pony Island or even Inscription was. So I'm also really hyped about this. This was one of the ones that was in the pre-show, right? I think so.
I think
yes,
so.
because I missed it.
Yeah.
I walked in and World of Goo was on the screen and they're like, why are they showing World of Goo? And I'm like, I bet you it's World of Goo 2. And then 30 seconds later, it just said World of Goo 2.
Yeah.
It did look a lot like World of Go.
Yeah.
To be fair. The last thing on my list, is it was the Sega commercial. I'm ready for more Crazy Taxi in my life. Big fan of Crazy Taxi. I also think it's really funny that Fortnite had maybe an hour of content and Sega got a minute to show all 7 of their games or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was 5 games in 1.5 minute trailer where, I think Fortnite got like 4 or 5 trailers throughout the night for all their different games.
That being said, I was way more hyped for the Sega reveal because I was like,
I thought it was a console.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know way more about all of these games. And then every time I saw Fortnite, I was like, all right, I'm skipping this. All right, I'm skipping this.
We were all like, Dreamcast 2, Dreamcast 2.
Yeah,
Dreamcast 2. That's what I thought it was going to be.
For real quick, for its credit, I think Lego Fortnite is a pretty incredible looking experience for people that like that kind of game. And I've heard the racing game is really fun as well.
Yeah,
of all the Fortnite, Lego Fortnite is the best Fortnite. We can all agree.
All right, anyway, let's talk about the Sega stuff because this is all pretty hype. From this, it looked like there's a 3D Streets of Rage game. Which is really cool to see. There's a Jet Set Radio remake or kind of reimagining of Jet Set Radio. You've got a 2D hand-drawn Shinobi game that looks to be kind of almost a Metroid Dread-ish sort of game, which is really cool. You've got a 3D Golden Axe game. And what's the last one? Crazy Taxi. Right. And it looks like the cops are chasing you in Crazy Taxi. So it looks like it's even shaking up the formula a little bit in that as well. So that's pretty cool. These all look really awesome. Like you were saying there, Summer, really heavy Dreamcast vibes. Like announcing a bunch of games like this would not be surprising if they were like, Dreamcast 2 is coming and these are all the launch games that are coming with the system.
I think it was because of the way the commercial was formatted that it was so heavy on like experiential vibes before they did more between the actors in their apartment than they did the games that were in development. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about all of these games, but I would have been way more excited about another console entering the market again because that's just funny to me. We need more competitors.
I almost was like, are they just going to put out one big game that has all of these games within it and call it Dreamcast 2? That's what I wanted. I was like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
They fucking might. Sega has been talking for a while about a super game that they're creating, and that a lot of people have been like, oh, it's some sort of metaverse thing. Oh, it's like a connecting their arcade system in an online capacity through emulation or something like that. People don't know exactly what it is, but Sega's been talking about it for a while. I would not be surprised if there was like
Sonic Sona and
that's
how
I would upload my consciousness to the Sega Super game.
Anyway, it's nice to see them dip into the IPs that aren't Sonic, Yakuza, and others,
Bayonetta.
right? It's like, we've been getting a lot of the same stuff out of and Persona or whatever, right? Or so I think it's nice to see some stuff like this. We know a Comic Zone game is coming at some point. They did say and more. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see a return of Virtua Fighter. I think Gene Park did a interview with Sega after this went down, and they kind of hinted at some Virtua Fighters. So.
If I don't get a new Virtua Tennis, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
I would love a new Virtua Tennis. Yeah, I'm a big Virtua Tennis fan.
I love Virtua Tennis.
Me too. Let's play that online. Let's play the Dreamcast version at my house.
Okay,
what do you think about
sounds
that?
good.
Okay, cool. Great stuff from Sega there. Anybody else want to give their picks for hype trailers?
I'll go. So first, I put No Rest for the Wicked because I love Moon Studios games, and they've only made like 2 games in like 10 years, and they're both bangers, dude.
This is the developer of Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
This is what I'm really excited about too.
I mean, it's just like after Ori and the Will of the Wisps came out, they were like, we're done making 2D games, but we're going to make a 3D game next. We wanted to just like explore that world. And they finally have announced what it's going to be. And I was also like, they're going to move on from Ori, and I just have to like be ready and be okay with that. So I've been prepared for this whole time.
Yeah.
And dude, just like the design in this game looks incredible. Like I love the art design. I love the creature design, which is something I love about the Ori games. And their art direction is just phenomenal. And after the Ori games, we can tell that their level design is phenomenal as well. So I'm just really curious to see them bring those features into a 3D world. It does look a little like almost like top down or asymmetric. No, like an ARPG.
Yeah, a little bit. It's got. I was getting kind of like Gauntlet Legends vibes almost from this, you know. But I think it's going to be like an action RPG, like a multiplayer action RPG,
or like a Death's Door or a Tunic or something like that. I'm so stoked, man, because I loved Death's Door. Tunic, as I've said on the pod, and I've argued with Matthew on the pod about mixed feelings, but I'm super stoked for this game, man. I'm really curious to see what they've been cooking up, especially because the AM2R guy works for Moon Studios and has for a while now. So,
okay, I didn't know the Metroid 2 remake. No,
he based on that he got hired at Moon Studios. He's been working there for, I think he worked on Ori Will of the Wisps.
That would make sense. Yeah.
But,
very Metroid coded game. Yeah, this game looks great. It's got kind of like a bit of a Game of Thrones aesthetic. I feel like a lot of the character design kind of just reminds me of that show.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's gorgeous. And what a wonderful title. I think No Rest for the Wicked is a really great title for a game. So more power to them. Another dub for Xbox, I guess. This is a Xbox or Microsoft owned company. So that's good.
That'll be a Game Pass day one.
What else do you have on here, Jordan?
The next game I got is Blade. This is when I was watching the trailer, I was like, what the fuck is this game? And then as it went on, I'm like, wait, he has vampire teeth. Is that Blade? And it was. I was like genuinely surprised. And then the back of my brain was like, oh, now it makes sense why the Blade movie has been delayed for like 5 years at this point. Anyway, it looks great. It's going to be by Arcane Leon. Is that who you say it?
Leon.
So the last game they made was Deathloop, and I loved Deathloop until the last like fourth of the game, but that's beside the point because I had a really great time with it. They make really interesting worlds that you kind of can move within, and they are really good at both sword combat and gun combat at the same time. And I'm like, dude, this is a perfect match, just to see. I will say, I believe this is going to be a third-person game. And
third-person action game is what it said.
A lot of their games are first person, so I'm kind of curious to see how they handle the perspective shift. But I mean, I really like that the Marvel rights are going to not just like Sony and what was the other one? Square Enix. Because I'm sorry, Square Enix kind of screwed the pooch like multiple times.
Titles,
I did hear Guardians of the Galaxy was really good.
No, Guardians of the Galaxy was good. I played it. I was like, oh yeah, no way, I did play that one.
I just like the aesthetic too, so I'm like curious to see. Like, I love the developer. The Blade character is just cool, and I think it just fits their vibe and their aesthetic and their style. So I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is another dub for Xbox on your list. Bethesda, obviously owned by Microsoft, so you have to imagine this is going to be an exclusive for them. So Spider-Man fans have to have a PlayStation, and Blade fans have to have an Xbox, unless Game Pass comes to PlayStation, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this looks cool. It's going to be set in Paris. So Arcane Leon, obviously, set out there. They're in France, so it'll be nice. I'm sure they know the area, and it'll be cool to see Blade ripping and roaring through Paris, Texas, or France. You tell me. I hope they have a blood rave scene. That would be pretty cool.
They got to. I think
yeah.
it's definitely day one. But the next game I have is the Jurassic Park game that they announced, which was like one of those games I was like, huh, okay, yeah, this looks cool. Sure, I'll fucking play this, because one of those games I wasn't expecting to be good was Alien Isolation. And it's like the first person alien game. And I was getting heavy Alien Isolation vibes. It's like a first person game where you're having to fucking survive a dinosaur attack. And so I think this is like definitely has a lot of potential. And it looks like it's based during the first Jurassic Park movie only.
Yeah, it looks like it's set in the 90s, right?
Yes.
Or maybe just after the first movie, maybe it's set.
Yeah, and so I like love that idea as well. I mean, the trailer is a lot of like iconic scenes from the movie, so it's like one playing on my nostalgia. Take my money, please. But yeah, I want to like say that it's gonna be. It looks pretty fun. I'll check it out, see what's up. It's probably gonna be on Game Pass. That's why I'll play it.
Yeah, half the trailer was like shot for shot the original movie, just with new characters in
yeah, but with Mia Khalifa instead.
With Mia Khalifa, yeah.
I don't think that was Mia Khalifa, but it kind of looked a little bit like Mia Khalifa. That game looks cool. I do think that this was one where it was like they had some like very brief shots at the end in first person, but I think all of this was pre-rendered video. This is all a CG trailer. There was a lot of CG trailers this year at the Game Awards. Which is not always great, but at least it showed a vibe that if they can nail the gameplay would be amazing in a game, right?
Totally. I mean, and like, can you name a very good Jurassic Park game? I mean, maybe the Park Builder one was fine.
I like the Park Builder ones. Yeah.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Jurassic Park 2 for Super Nintendo was pretty good. Yeah. It just got re-released, developed by a friend of the show, MVG.
Yes, but I'm just curious to see. It did say alpha game footage. No, it said I think it said pre-alpha.
I think it said pre-rendered footage.
Anyway, I'm curious to see what they do with it. I'm done.
Anyway,
please, someone else talk.
Okay, I'll talk real quick. The first thing that I was excited about, that it was a previously announced game, but we got more information about it with another new trailer. Metaphor Refantasio. I don't know I think that's how you say that. More specifically too, they gave us a lot of developer information during that trailer. Saw that who a lot of the core folks are on this game. We're getting a combination of folks who worked on the modern Persona games, so 3, 4, and 5, and Nier, the recent Nier games. So we are getting a combination now we're seeing of turn-based and action-based it's what it is looking like based on the trailer. So as someone who is a huge fan of both Persona and Nier, and they're figuring out a way to blend both of those combats, I'm really excited about that. And it just looks gorgeous. Like,
agreed.
Stylistically, right? 2 games too that like stylistically are just incredible. I think this is going to be a knockout easily.
Yeah. It's looking amazing. This is definitely this is an RPG that like I'm going to buy and probably not finish, but like I'm not going to be able to help myself.
Well, you won't have to because it's going to be on Game Pass, so you'll get to try it out that way. It's going to be a Game Pass day one. I thought it was funny during the Game Awards, the end of the trailer, they showed play Persona today, and they highlighted Persona 5 Tactica, Persona 3 Portable, and Persona 4, but not Persona 5 because that they took that one down.
Right. But yeah, no. Metaphor Refantasio is looking incredible. Like it looks like the most stylized game of all time. It's like taking the crazy stylization of the modern Persona franchise, like you said, mixing it in with some action from Nier Automata. And then also I feel like it looks like it's got a lot of the kind of like desolation and exploration aspects of the Shin Megami Tensei almost.
Yeah.
I was also getting a lot of SMT vibes from this as well.
Which would make sense because it's the same people. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it just seems like a really great blend of all of those games. And hopefully it's taking the best aspects of all those games instead of like the worst aspects of all those games, right? Because I think it could go both ways. But the character design is amazing. The art design is incredible. And yeah, it's got such a pedigree behind it. It was nice to see a trailer that like showed off some of the creators of the game.
Right. That got me really hyped about it. And then other game that I is excited about is like speak specifically to the stylizedness of it. I have always been aware of Guilty Gear, but Guilty Gear Strive, I hadn't tried it out. And when I saw this new character reveal for Elfelt, Guilty Gear fans come for me if I'm mispronouncing that. She
Punk
is
rock waifu.
She looks like she's a rocker. She's like a rocker idol, and that's her aesthetic. And I think that's really awesome. And when I heard her like theme song that was playing and her lines, and she's voiced by a voice actor that I really like. That's done a lot of other roles I really like. Just this, and the fact that people were saying, "Oh, this character is summer coded," I'm like, all right. I downloaded Guilty Gear Strive immediately. So I'm gonna be playing it. I'm sure figuring it out. I am not a fighting game person, but you're right. My fighting game is Super Smash Brothers, which is notoriously a party game. So this gonna be attempting to learn this now, thanks to her.
Yeah, I also installed Guilty Gear. It's on Game Pass. After this announcement, we had talked about maybe playing some online. I played a little bit. I don't know that it's my kind of fighting game. I'm like, as far as fighting games go, like I'm more of like a Tekken guy. I really like the Tekken games, and obviously Smash as well. But I have always loved the Guilty Gear art style.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to at least give it a go.
Mm-hmm. David, what about you?
Sure. Yeah, I can give some of mine. A couple of the ones that I'm interested about are Windblown. Windblown is a game that's coming out from Motion Twin, the creators of Dead Cells. And Dead Cells is an incredible game. And it's about fucking time that they put out another game because they have been supporting Dead Cells for such a long time, which is amazing. But I've been eager to see what their next game is. Similar to Moon Studios, it seems like this game, they're moving into 3D and also moving into multiplayer, which is really awesome to see. There was a really snazzy trailer that they put out with a lot of really pretty 2D animation and a lot of top-down action gameplay. It looks super, super fun. So I'm really excited for Windblown. Surprisingly gory trailer as well.
Right.
There's a lot of like dismemberment and blood and guts in this trailer. I love that when coupled with cute cartoony characters. Sign me up. It seemed like it was right up my alley.
I love the color scheme of this game too.
Yes. Yeah, I do too. It was very colorful, very bright, very vibrant.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that quite a bit. I want to give a shout out to OD, which is the new game, maybe?
They called it
from
a movie hybrid, which
yeah, they're like, it is a game, kind of. But yeah, it's from Hideo Kojima. This has been talked about for a long time. We knew this was in development. We knew that he originally was making a game that was going to be a Stadia exclusive for a long time. Then when Stadia shut down, it got moved over to Microsoft's Azure cloud services, right? So whatever Kojima is cooking up, this is kind of being developed in tandem with Death Stranding 2. And he brought, Jordan Peele up on the stage and said that he's working with Jordan Peele on this game, movie, multimedia experience sort of thing. It's got a really cool cast, Hunter Schafer, Sophia Lillis, and Udo Kier, that's his name, are going to be in this. And when you're looking at it, it's like, oh, this looks like real footage they shot of these actors, but it is using MetaHuman, the Unreal Engine 5 character creator kind of engine. And so it was really, really impressive stuff. I'm playing through Death Stranding right now, and there's like incredible acting and face animation in that game. This looks like it takes it to another level. This is clearly what he's been using that big scan orb where he's been scanning all these actors and all the social media posts for, right? So that's pretty exciting. There's a couple takeaways from this, just speculation wise, when they brought Kojima up on the stage, he walked out through the PT door. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
No, of course they did, because they made a whole show of it.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are really speculating, and this is clearly going to be a horror experience. A lot of people are speculating that this might be whatever PT was going to be originally. There's also they found recently inside Udo Kier's like mouth, there are like letters that spell out the name of a city
Stop.
that is
Stop.
part of like the Silent Hill city.
Who's
so
looking
there's
in this
like,
dude's mouth?
yeah.
Right?
I mean, look at it. You
talking
could
about?
pause the trailer yourself and find the letters inside his mouth. But it's like, so there's all these little hints that he's throwing in that this is a Silent Hill adjacent property.
This is insane.
So it'd be really cool if he, and he said he's working with other filmmakers outside of Jordan Peele. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we hear one of those guys is Nicholas Winding Refn and one of those guys is Guillermo del Toro,
Seth Rogen.
So I'm there for anything. Yeah, he's doing Sausage Party too, but it's a game this time.
True horror.
But anyway, I thought that looked pretty cool, even though they were up there for almost 8 minutes when they could have been doing awards. Next, I'll move on real quickly through the last two I have here. Tales of Kenzera Zhao is another game that's coming out. Another similar to the new Prince of Persia game and what that Shinobi game looks like. That looks like kind of another Metroid Dread-like. And this looks really fucking cool. The guy who presented this game had incredible drip. This game just looks fantastic. I don't know if I have too much to say about it other than like I'm there for this genre of game that is now popping up. I mean, obviously Metroidvanias have been around for a long time, but like games like this that really put like fluid combat and movement at the forefront, I get really, really, really excited for,
I've been fucking waiting for this shit for so long because it's like
this game in particular, or this kind of
just
game.
This kind of game. Like after Dread came out, because like when Dread came out, I went back and replayed all the Metroid games, and the thing that sticks out to me the most about Super Metroid is it feels clunky by today's standards of like the Metroid Dreads, and like to take that fluidity of movement and put it in that style of game.
Yeah.
To borrow a phrase from David.
Yum 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 yum. Come.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. It looks really cool, and it looks like it features like some really interesting like cultural like touchstones and a lot of like really interesting stuff. So I'm definitely going to be picking this game up whenever it comes out. And then lastly, I do briefly want to talk about Light No Fire, another game from the developers of No Man's Sky. It was funny. Sean Murray came up and just immediately started doing all the things that he did that got everybody so pissed off about him for No Man's Sky before it came out. Just promising the literal world, right? Like he basically was like, No Man's Sky is an infinite universe. We're making one planet that is procedurally generated that everybody can share. And it seems like this Herculean task to build an entire Earth is kind of what they're talking about it as. You have to think that hopefully he's learned his lesson a little bit on over-promising. But I'll believe it when I see it. But right now it sounds like it's a really, really cool kind of fantasy world. And that is a full Earth scale environment that you can go around on. So if they could pull it off with a team of, what did he say? 10 employees? I think he said there's like 10 people working on this. I mean, more power to you, but I wouldn't expect this game to come out for a while.
I also feel like though the technology they've built using No Man's Sky, they have to be using that same technology within this game. And they've been supporting that game for a decade now. There's no way that I feel like this is more achievable at this point in time.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully we'll see what happens, but those are the games that I wanted to bring up. Maybe we could start wrapping up here and we could talk just a little bit about the show as a whole again. The pacing we kind of talked about beforehand. The pacing I think was actually pretty good this year. Would you guys agree? I think overall, I felt like my attention was pretty.
Yeah.
Maybe I was kind of sagging at the very end.
Some things could have been trimmed down, I think, right? Like some of the like non-award presenter moments could have maybe been trimmed down a little bit. That being said, give Gonzo more time. I saw people complaining about him, and I'm like, who are you? Like, who complains about the Muppets? People who don't. Anyway,
Gonzo likes Tears of the Kingdom.
Because there's
name dropped a
chickens
mission
in it.
title on that.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah. He's horny for the cuckoos.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then him wheeling out a board of all of the most iconic chicken moments in video games. Like, incredible.
Yeah. Also, there was a chicken in the middle of that board that he was horny for that was not Camilla, right? He called that chicken a different name. He's like cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
are they married?
He's had the harem of chickens. It's always been like a polycule thing.
Yeah.
I think Camilla's
That's true.
like his
they just need to
main.
be more specific about it. Yeah, his primary partner is Camilla.
Gonzo is confirmed a relationship anarchist.
That's
Yeah,
but
ethical non-monogamy. Gonzo.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And to interspecies.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can move on from that. There,
non-monogamy. No, that doesn't work very much.
yeah. Anyway, I saw a lot of pushback online about people talking about like too many Hollywood presenters. Again, this is like a complaint we hear every single year. I think at the very least, it was all people that at least had to do with the games that they were talking about this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like before they just brought in like random Fast and Furious, like, and they're like, we used to play Tekken and all that. You remember that year? That was
God.
really super cringe.
Right. They had people that like did not like. I hate watching people like act like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, pretend like they're gamers or whatever.
And everybody here like was a gamer and like felt like and did feel like they had to say something, but like then it was something that actually did like lead to their credence or whatever. I'm like, okay, all right.
Like Matthew McConaughey went up. Austin was mentioned, which was nice. There's a game that he's got coming out that he's like acting in. And he talked about how it's being developed in Austin, Texas. So that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. You know, Jordan Peele, obviously we talked about already. Anthony Mackie was drunk off his ass, but he's in Twisted Metal 2, which got, renewed for a season 2. They announced that. Walton Goggins and the Fallout crew came out and showed off some new Fallout stuff from the adaptations. Timothy Chalamet.
Wonka himself, baby.
Yeah, he presented the Game of the Year award, which was interesting. And then, Simu Liu went out and showed off some horrible looking mobile game that he's apparently in, like doing the voice of. And then he also talked for a really long time. And
he was very proud of that game too.
Yeah, it looked like shit.
Yeah.
Man. All right.
I feel bad about because I like him. Like, okay, I'll play your
Yeah.
shitty mobile game, hot man.
I'm not going to be playing his shitty mobile game just because he's hot. I'm playing a shitty mobile game because I feel bad that he sprained his ankle. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, for a crappy reason. Yeah.
Also, I think I should take this time to announce that I did not win the Game Award for Best Anime that I directed. But I'm just kidding. Castlevania Nocturne was nominated, by the way, for Best Adaptation. Lost it to Last of Us. Nobody thought that there was going to be any chance that was not going to happen. But there was a chance that my producer, Kevin Coldy, would have had to have gone on stage and been like, thank you, everybody, for voting for us. And I'm really glad. I'm doing a Kevin Coldy impression to people that have no idea who he is or what he sounds like. But that is who he is and what he sounds like.
I'm just going to say it. Fuck The Last of Us. Castlevania forever.
Well, thank you. I agree that we should have won because I was the editor for it. But Last of Us, I think, was a pretty great show as well. I'll give it to them. I'm not being a sore loser. It was nice just to be nominated.
I'll be a sore loser for you.
Thank you. Chris McKeever, always going to bat for me. Lastly, I do want to talk about there were some musical numbers as well, which was really nice.
A lot of the time I don't care. And this year I was just floored.
They were all good.
So I had just listened to this previously, like getting ready for the Game Awards, not understanding I have a general awareness of what Alan Wake is, but when I was listening to this song without, the visuals we got at the Game Awards, I was like, hold on a second. What? I need context. This is awesome. This is like camp, but like glam rock camp.
There's a metal band like in the Alan Wake universe that plays heavily into the first game and in the second game. This is the band in that, and then it's kind of a meta moment in Alan Wake 2 where they do a big musical number, and they basically just did the musical number from the game live on stage, right?
So I think love that.
Yeah, everybody was really confused. But then, they did the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth theme song. And I think that, to me, is like, I guess Final Fantasy VII Rebirth won an award because it won most anticipated game. But it was just a little weird that they spent time doing a musical number from a game that isn't even out yet.
Yeah, you know what I guess just they're banking on like 7 culturally being so weighted, maybe. I guess you could say like with the franchise, Final Fantasy 16 winning music, maybe it would have made more sense though for Final Fantasy 16 to have had the musical number. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't care, and I loved this. I loved the 90s AMV vibes that we got from all of the like cut edits during the song. I was just in love with the dress, both on Aerith and the singer. Definitely,
she had a great voice.
She's like a big like Broadway person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we got to talk about Flute Guy, right?
Yeah, Flute Guy made his triumphant return.
Love Flute Guy.
He's just
Flute Guy's great. He had a weird big flute that I don't think anybody knew existed.
Oh no, it's just a contrabass.
Is that a contrabass?
As soon
flute?
as I saw it, I was like, "Hey, contrabass!
okay.
There it is." But I
Yeah.
was a flute player.
See,
so
to me, I was like, that's not
why
a
I gotta
flute.
talk
That is
about
a
him.
Blue Man Group instrument right there.
No,
That is a
it's a-
made up
it's a
Blue Man
PVC-ass. Yeah.
it's a
What is
contrabass
the-
flute.
Difference between a contrabass flute and an oboe.
Whoa, you're really asking him.
Yeah,
Wait.
like a lot of things.
Whoa.
A lot of things. First of all, oboe is a reed instrument.
And
okay?
a
Double reed
bassoon
instrument
is a
specifically.
deeper oboe. Oh my God. Are we
all right.
talking?
So a double-
We can't even.
I was
a double
thinking of a
bassoon or
bassoon. I was
contrabassoon
thinking of a
is an
bassoon.
even lower
You were
bassoon.
thinking
Okay,
of like
okay.
the wrong instrument entirely.
Guys, I'm gonna have to take us away from this non sequitur. We're already going long. Let's quickly wrap up the
Fine.
main topic here. Does anybody have any final thoughts that they want to say on the Game Awards before we call it?
I wish I could find photos. I'm going to have to scrub it later of Doug Bowser's wife because she was wearing a pink jumpsuit with a Super Mario Brothers t-shirt underneath it. And I haven't been able to find, like, nobody besides me cares about this. So I need to go through and scrub for photos of her.
What do you think? It's gauche. It wasn't really working for me.
There's a lot of fashion.
That's
going
why
on,
I
a
need
lot
to
of-
look at it again.
Yeah, it wasn't working for me. I think maybe we quickly talk about fashion. I think what I'll say, everyone I've been seeing on Twitter that was like, here's my fucking Game Awards looks, that is like a lady or like female presenting,
Mhm.
fucking nailed it this
Yeah,
year.
that's how
Except
this
for
goes.
except for Doug Bowser's wife, who was a major flop. I think that for the most part, ladies, you killed it. You were doing inventive things with your fits. I thought you all looked gorgeous and stunning, and I was really liking what you were doing. Fellas, you did
Step
better
it
this
up.
year. You did better this year than you have in the past, but I was
Right.
seeing way too many t-shirts under blazers still, right? I'll accept the turtleneck under the blazer. I think that that's a good step forward in the right direction. That said, I need more black tie. I need more formal attire.
I
Yeah.
saw a lot of big shirt, small pants, and I'm here for it.
I will admit to that. There were some inventive fits from the men this year, which that kind of stuff I'm there for. If you're not going to go formal black tie Oscars, try something unique, right? But you can't do jeans, a blazer, and a t-shirt.
You know,
Yeah,
like a
I
suit
knew
of
I'm
armor,
looking
perhaps.
at you.
Oh my
A
gosh.
suit of
Yeah, a suit of
armor,
armor, right? Let's normalize it. Normalize it. Or, your new studio's logo in like super intricate beading as a lapel on your
That's
jacket.
true.
Like
That's
Hideo
true.
Oh
Kojima.
yeah.
Kojima wore a really heavy-looking brooch,
Yeah. I think
which
it was
was
just beaded to
fascinating
the
see.
jacket is what it looked like to me. But it's enough of that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chris, you're right. The suit of armor, he won. He was
Yeah.
just like, someone told him wear a suit, and he's like, okay.
A suit of
Eh.
armor.
So much so that they were like, "Wrap it up, buddy. You've gone 20 seconds too long."
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I think we should maybe say that they didn't mention the layoffs. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I think that this kind of solidifies that Jeff Keighley is a whore for the video game publishers, right?
Mhm.
And he will do whatever it takes to get fucked by them as much as possible to make as much money as he possibly can, right? So I found that to be unfortunate. I don't think anybody expected anything otherwise. I think this was his chance to prove that he's not just an industry slut, but unfortunately, that is not the case, right? And I was very disappointed to find that, but
Mhm.
what was going to happen
I
otherwise on this?
do have a question. Do you think they're going to talk about the WGA strikes and the SAG-AFTRA strikes at the Oscars this year, and not in a joke form? I feel
Well,
like
I
it's
would have
just-
been happy if you had even made it. Well, I wouldn't have been happy if you made a joke about it because he's not a fucking comedian. But I think that like you can use comedy to draw attention to things where you just wouldn't at all
Depending
before.
on- Sure.
Weird
You know what I
Al
mean?
just did it.
Wait, did he? Did he do a song about
Yeah, he
strikes?
did. He did. Well, he did
In
the,
his Spotify Wrapped message.
Spotify Wrapped. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He made a joke
Interesting.
about the money he made from plays, which was like maybe enough to buy a sandwich, right?
Okay,
So
right.
he's
Interesting.
like, so thanks for lunch.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's it. for me.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I'm just like, dude, award shows traditionally don't even delve into that, and I think they're all cowards for not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was his opportunity to make a stand, but
Totally.
anyway, a lot of people are really hating on this Game Awards. I actually thought it was pretty good. I think maybe it's because we do this show where we react to it every year, and I've watched it very closely and my expectations were low, or this just was slightly better than before. But I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about the stuff that we've been talking about forever. So I don't think we need to beleaguer that point any more than we have to. I say we go ahead and wrap this up. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and we're going to move on to our final segment of the show. We'll talk about the games we've been playing recently right after this break. I'll go ahead and start because Patrick is out, and I am pretending to be Patrick tonight.
Cool.
I've been playing a number of games. I've been going with some of the regulars, Binding of Isaac, Picross 2. But I did start, like I said earlier, Death Stranding. I'm not too far into it. I've finished like the first... like the prologue and like the first mission, but I'm already like 3 hours into it because I'm basically mostly watching a movie as I'm playing this game. But I'm loving it. You guys know I love Kojima after I played all those Metal Gear Solid games, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm even enjoying just walking around, and I'm like, oh, I know this whole game is basically just carrying things on your back and walking around a countryside, but it puts on cool music and the game is gorgeous, and it looks gorgeous even on my Steam Deck. I've been playing it exclusively in handheld, and it runs great. It looks beautiful. So I'm really enjoying Death Stranding so far. Another game I started up, kind of looking for like another game to kind of sink my teeth into recently. So I'm kind of jumping around between them, seeing what sticks. Outer Wilds, it's a game I started a little bit ago and then kind of put down. Jumping back into Outer Wilds, this time on my Steam Deck. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I love the Myst games. I played a lot of Myst games this year, Riven and Myst 3. And this is another game that is like a puzzler and also utilizes orbital mechanics and like frictionless space travel, which is something I really like in space games. You know, like games where you have to actually like, you know, if you there's no braking in space, you know, you have to like shoot your jets in the opposite way to slow down. I love that shit. So I'm really enjoying the Outer Wilds. And then lastly, I just want to bring up a game that I picked up Apple Arcade for. I actually am on a trial subscription of Apple Arcade so I could play the Apple Arcade exclusive Sonic game, Sonic Dream Team. I tried this out on my stream the other night. This game is fucking fun, guys. I'm having a blast with the Apple Arcade Sonic game. It is so much fun. It is a full 3D Sonic game. It is not, I mean, people are like, is it Sonic Adventure 3? No, it's much more level-based than Sonic Adventure, but it does kind of feel like Sonic Adventure a little bit in that you're playing these 3D environments. You have different areas of the levels that you can access with different characters. So, you know, Rouge the Bat and Knuckles, they glide. Tails and Cream have the flying ability, and then Amy and Sonic are like your speedsters that have the lock-on abilities and stuff like that. So it's really a very, very good 3D Sonic game. I really hope that eventually Sega Star Team, or I forget the name of the company that's making this game, but I really hope that they eventually kind of, you know, flesh this game out a little bit more and bring it to consoles, because I think this is something that would play super, super great on the Switch. I'm playing it on my MacBook Pro right now because I don't have an iPhone, so the only way I can really play it is on my PC, or my Mac. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, that's what I've been playing this week.
Please finish Outer Wilds. It's one of like 3 or 4 games that have made me cry when I finished it. I love that game so much. It just like hits a really emotional resonance about the your existential place within a universe. But anyway, just finish that game. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
I will.
It's in my top 10. So I went to Disney for 5 days. So I didn't really play very many video games besides the do I get a Genie Pass Plus? Do I get a Lightning Lane? Or do I get a virtual queue, which is a real life game that you play so that you can ride in real life rides, but no one's having fun doing this system. You have to wake up at 7 a.m. just to get a spot to go on a ride at like 4 p.m. Yeah, it's awful. But anyway, so on the plane ride from Austin to Orlando, I played Backpack Hero the entire time, and I did not realize 2 hours had passed by, which is great. I think that's a good indicator of is a game good or not. So I've been talking about this game for a while. I'm still kind of like, I'm probably like 20 hours in at this point, and I'm still having a really good time with it. I think the runs are really fun. And then the way that it introduces new mechanics is just at such a nice pace that I'll probably be playing this game for a while. I do think it needs, again, a couple updates, but overall, dude, I highly recommend this game. And then I'm trying to round out my Super Mario RPG playthrough just so I can say I finished it. And not that I'm not having a good time, but I'm just like, the battles are so to me, but I'm still really enjoying the story enough that I will like keep going. And I know it's not a super long game. So,
Super.
it's not a super long Super Mario RPG.
It's not a Super Switch Head.
By a Super Switch Head. Yeah, but anyway, that's it. That's all I've been playing.
So I have been jumping back into Tears of the Kingdom because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going into the Game Awards with too much recency bias. Wanted to make sure that I was remembering what it felt like to be running around as Link. And I definitely continued to play that game the way that I always do, which was I just run around and cook and eat. And I'm really bad at Tulin is the one guy spirit pal that I have. And we just run around. He shoots bad guys for me while I continue to dick around. And that's exactly how, and I was like, this is Game of the Year contender. Because I can play that game however I want to. And I also decided, one of my roommates does love Fortnite. So after I saw Fortnite in the Game Awards, I was like, you know what? I will give it a shot. I will give Lego and racing a shot. And I really like the racing, actually, which I guess is not a surprise because it is made by the Rocket League people. And there is some discourse there as well about, I guess the Rocket League people have been leaving Rocket League, and that's why that game hasn't been getting as much attention because they've been working on this Rocket Racing for Fortnite. So take that for what you will. It is fun. Oh
man, I've heard that this game is great. I've only heard amazing things about Lego Fortnite. I've heard that it's fantastic and that the whole game plays really great. And it's like what Harmonix did, like the like live concert music section or whatever that thing is called in Fortnite now. Like Fortnite is really
they have like a stage, like a live stage. And something I didn't really understand about Fortnite before is that when you go into it and you see all the modes and you can see how many people are participating in every kind of mode. 1.2 million people at like 11 a.m. today were playing Lego Fortnite, specifically Lego Fortnite. There were 200,000 people doing Rocket Racing, and there were still 600,000 people doing Battle Royale. At 11 a.m., right? I'm like seeing these numbers and I'm like, first of all, I do wish other games would like show you how many people are in a current mode at any given point. But also I was like, oh, Lego Fortnite, here we fucking go. And I've also been playing a game I haven't played in I think almost a year. That's going to be Pokemon Unite, because I was like, you know what? What's that other free-to-play game that I have on my Switch that I enjoy playing that's got a battle pass in it? Pokemon Unite. And I spent 30 minutes looking at all the new outfits and then another 30 minutes playing the actual game. And I remember why I like it. And I actually, I really enjoyed it. It was because a friend was like, what if we tried playing Pokemon Unite again? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So it's that social aspect of it as well. So those are the two factors for me with Pokemon Unite. Is it's fun to look at because I like all the outfits, and I do have friends that will play it with me. So that's what I've been playing.
Very cool. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I am finishing up Mario Wonder. It's taking me a little while to get all the way through it just because the multiplayer is trash. And again, I don't really play video games by myself.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. The game is incredible.
The game's incredible.
I'm glad it didn't win Best Multiplayer.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
I also started Avatar Frontiers of Pandora.
Let's go.
It is very pretty. But you gotta fucking cook in it. So I don't.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Is your computer handling it, or are you playing it on PC?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It is. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. The it's like $120 or something.
What?
Yeah, for the season pass too. Like more if you want just more than the base game, it's like $120.
What
So
does that include?
I did Ubisoft Plus for $15. Immediately canceled it.
Yeah.
So I will be playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora maybe
for 1
month.
month. Yeah.
Damn.
Maybe for 1 month.
Holy
and
cow.
then the game that I put the most time into is still League of Legends. I am Iron 2. I am a Yumi support main. I just like being a little cat and bugging people with my little shots.
Well, there's a new season in that too, right? That just started.
No, it'll start next month or
Oh, it's coming
so.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Season 14.
My exposure to League of Legends is all of the separate properties to it. I'm a big I'm a KDA stan, and that's as much as I know.
I only know Arcane. Anyway, I think that's going to do it then for our episode on the Game Awards. Wow, what an episode. What a savings. I want to thank so much to you, Chris R. McKeever, for coming on the show. Everybody give Chris a round of applause.
Yes,
thank you so
thank
much
you
for coming on.
having me.
I had a wonderful time. I'd like to thank MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you'd like to find me online, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji.
You can find me most places at Weebwitched.
You can find me in the Discord at Bordan or on Instagram or on Letterboxd.
Very good. And what about you, Chris? Where can people find you online?
Please do not look for me. I do not wish to be perceived.
There you go.
You can find him if you play Tsum Tsum online, and because he's going to be the only other person online playing
That's true.
that you're going to queue in with.
We don't know that because they don't do the same thing that Fortnite does and show that I'm the only person
Right.
playing.
If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, switchheads.com, and then we've got a Discord and a Facebook group. We'll have links to both of those of the description of this episode, whether you find it on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube, where you can shoot us a like and a subscribe. Please follow us on YouTube. We love the video version of this show. That's going to do it for this episode on the Game Award, folk. That's going to do it, folk. The one of you.
Singular.
I had a wonderful time. We're going to be back next week with a whole brand new episode, so make sure you don't change that dial. But in the meantime, you guys know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Why don't we all fucking tell Jeff Keighley to wrap it up? And otherwise, we love you guys very much. We'll see you
Stop
next
having
week.
children. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.